Welcome back to the POMCAST. Once again, I've got Mike Shaug, founder and CEO of Premier Online Marketing, as our guest. And today, ladies and gentlemen, especially for you Harley Davidson superfans, we're going to talk a little Harley Davidson PPC 101. It's always important, especially if you have a brand as iconic as Harley Davidson, to understand the 101, because there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle and you may not understand them. So part of this could be a little bit of demystification, depending on your level of knowledge around how all of this works. But we want to ask some questions here of Mike today that'll help us, let's just say, get a little understanding of how to segment paid search campaigns differently for Harleys and models specifically, and the buyer intent in that environment. We're going to discuss a bit about CRM data, sales history. Maybe I want to ask Mike about pump in and pump out reports, fine-tuning audience targeting, exploring keyword options, ad scheduling. Optimal campaign performance is always top of mind for power sports dealers. So we're also going to break down a little bit of remarketing, some advanced targeting. And of course, Mike can go to the depths on any and all of these issues. Mike's a pro. He's been at this for a long time, and I can vouch for him because I've known him forever, and glad to call him not only a friend, I call him one of the, if not the expert when it comes to paid search and digital marketing for businesses. So once again, we're in luck. Welcome back, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Sean. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's get into it. I want to kick off with a basic one, I know for probably a lot of people, but what makes Harley PPC advertising different from, say, general motorcycle campaigns or even automotive?
Well, because HD tends to not, I believe they just had their first sub 10K product released, meaning that it's a premium brand. Typically, the average price tag on Harley Davidson is like, plus all the add-ons is, $15,000 plus. If you like the higher end or the touring or bagger cruiser models, you're looking at 20K, 30K sometimes, plus add-ons. It can go up quite high. So that makes it very different than, let's say, a Honda dealer that has product for kids and then all different levels of dirt bikes. You don't really have that with Harley. So you have to be very discerning in how you spend your money, because there's a ton of motorcycle search volume, but you want to make sure that you're very cautious about how you invest, the keywords and audiences that you're using, so you can buy customers. You can actually find customers that actually can afford to buy what you are selling, which tends to be a more premium, more expensive, very specific product. I love Harley. I have had Harley motorcycles in the past. It's one of my favorite brands in the entire world, and we've done a ton of Harley Davidson PPC and SEO.
Yeah, it's a great brand. Really big fan myself. What are the core keyword categories that every Harley dealer should be bidding on?
So we kind of think of, obviously you have brand. Typically that'll be about 5% of your allocation. I'm here in Austin, Texas. So we have Cowboy Harley Davidson here in Austin. We also have Central Texas Harley Davidson up north. Green Harley Davidson down south. That would be some examples of brand search. And every Harley dealer that's fairly well established will have a decent amount of it. You're probably going to want to only spend about 5% of your budget on brand, because SEO will pick up a lot of that. The next category that we think about is dealer terms keywords. And this is actually going to be where the highest volume of keyword search is. It's going to be Harley dealer Austin, Harley dealer near Lakeway, Harley dealer Bastrop. It's going to be Harley plus geo. And we don't really know what they're looking for. They could be looking for service. They could be looking for parts. They could be looking for new unit sales. It tends to be the highest sales converting keyword category outside of brand, because brand tends to convert the vast majority of your sales, because it's the last step in that shopping journey before they pick up the phone. They're going to just type in your name and give you guys a phone call and schedule a test drive. But dealer terms is super important, and you want to make sure that you're going after your primary geo areas that you're targeting. If you're here in Austin, Texas, obviously Austin, Lakeway, Bee Cave, there are not Harley dealers in all of those locations, but there are people that are in those locations, and they're going to be using the geo areas that they're familiar with concatenated with Harley Davidson or Harley or HD. And you want to make sure that you're using all Of those permutations, Harley Davidson, HD, H-D, people use that, and they all mean the same thing. So you want to make sure that you have that keyword category built out. Next is new inventory. And the way I think about new inventory is you want to segment by the line. So right now we have, and it changes, we don't have Dyna anymore, which is what my lowrider used to be. We don't have Softail anymore. So we have the new inventory categories are Grand Touring, we've got Trike, we have Cruiser, which I think is where the vast majority of the favorites that like the lowrider S that I used to ride is now Cruiser. It's no longer Dyna. Breakout, Fat Boy, those are all in Cruiser. Super, and obviously Softail, which is a very popular keyword for the Cruiser line. Then you have a Sportster. That's probably going to be super popular in densely populated cities like Austin. Different dealerships specialize in different lines. So obviously, if you primarily sell touring bikes, that's awesome because they're the most expensive ones. But you're going to build your campaigns separately around the different lines of inventory that you primarily want to push. You don't want them all jammed together in the same campaign because they have different price points and they have a different type of user. For instance, people that are younger will probably gravitate to sports. People that are older and been riding for a long time and have bad backs like me are going to be going for a cruiser or a touring motorcycle. And then, of course, there's adventure touring, but there's only one model under there. There's the Pan America. It's kind of, I feel like it should be under sport. But anyway, those are the different model specific ones. And then, of course, you have used Harley Lowrider, used Harley Nightster, all of these old classic models that a lot of dealerships will carry. That will be the other keyword category that you're going to go after. And then finally, I would say finance. Someone that is looking for HD finance or Harley Davidson finance specials, that's going to be someone that's very low funnel. And that's definitely a keyword category I would go after as well.
This next question I have for you, I know a lot of people probably want this answer, and that is, what have you found to be maybe the best converting keywords in Harley PPC?
Yeah. In terms of like, if I evaluate all the keywords in any Harley campaign, it's going to be brand that converts the best. That's the end. I think it was like someone from Ogilvy was saying something that your brand is the end of the conversation that you paid to start so many times in so many other places. So you obviously want to invest a little bit in brand because your competitors will deliberately or unintentionally poach brand traffic from you. It happens all the time, even though it's not really allowed. It can be accidental. So brand will convert the best, followed by dealer terms. And that's dealer terms is probably going to be where you would maximize 30% or 40% of your overall budget. That's, these people are not saying Harley dealership Austin to call you about the weather. They're looking for sales or service. Ironically, and then finance, that converts very well. That's someone that is looking to make a purchase decision. It's lower funnel. It tends to be a higher cost per click user, but it's totally fine to go after them because they're someone that's looking to buy. And ironically, model specific or inventory specific keywords for new motorcycles, for instance, Harley Davidson Sportster or something like that, those tend to not convert super well, but they're super important. They're more middle of funnel. We find that people, when they are looking to research motorcycles, they will use inventory keywords a lot. And when they're ready to buy, they'll use brand or a dealer term, which is kind of weird, but we've tested it a lot of times. And you will get some conversion value, and inventory PPC is super important. Even if your cost per leads are higher there, or even if you don't have a lot of lead volume, it's definitely an important touch point to getting someone to that point where they're looking for your brand or using a finance term.
What about negatives? What are some key negative keywords that help refine Harley Davidson campaigns?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Harley Davidson, if you're looking to move metal and get product off of the lot, you want to make sure that you're looking at keywords like apparel, handlebars, ape hangers, all of these different keywords that could be parts, accessories, screaming eagles, all these things. They're important. They're valuable. but they shouldn't be part of a motorcycle sales campaign. And because you can, I think for every one person that's looking for a motorcycle, there are probably 7 people looking to modify a motorcycle. And that is valuable search, but it's certainly not as valuable as selling a unit. So you want to have those keywords in a different place, and you want to apply negatives so that your parts and accessories and apparel is not cannibalizing your new or used unit sales. Obviously, there's some other ones. Cheap is always a keyword that is pretty much universally good to exclude. We will always put in different tiers of like thousands of dollars, like motorcycle under 3,000, 5,000, 4,000. Because again, the cheapest new Harley Davidson model right now is 10K basically. So there are going to be people looking for Harley Davidsons under 3,000. And, it's great because maybe you might have something that you can sell them, but you're not going to want to spend money on that searcher. You're going to be looking for more of those premium clicks. So yeah, that would be some examples of like negative keywords, and negative keywords will help you save a lot of money. And if you save money, that means you're going to get more leads out of your existing budget, and meaning you can spend less and get more, which is the most important aspect of PPC management.
Yeah, for sure. I know for some maybe more savvy folks in the dealership world, or if you're a digital marketing professional yourself, understand all this. But I'd like you, for the audience, to break down the importance of what we consider to be the pump in, pump out report and how it shapes the target audience.
Yeah, so these kinds of reports are really valuable to understand where you're selling motorcycles and who's selling into your AOI. And you should absolutely be looking at these reports on a monthly basis so you can refine your targeting and be really aware of who is poaching business from you and where you have opportunity to defend yourself better. And then also places where you have opportunities to sell more. So I guess the opportunity to sell more would be kind of the exercise in looking at this data. But essentially, you want to make sure that you're maximizing your sales opportunities everywhere that you are historically selling bikes or where your competitors are. And that's super important. Another aspect of this is CRM data and your historical sales data to identify the areas where you sell most of your product. I mean, we have dealers in some of the biggest markets across the country, like Phoenix, Dallas. And what's really interesting is when you take a look at their historical sales data, oftentimes the vast majority of their sales will come from about 10 different zip codes. It won't be from the whole DMA or metro area. And it's really important to understand what those are and compare and contrast that against those reports that you get from the OEM to make sure that you are maximizing your spend in the areas where you are likely to get the most ROI. I mean, obviously, I think, just using our AOI for an example, I mean, you can sell a lot of Harley Davidsons in Buda, Texas, but you probably sell a lot more in Lakeway, Texas, where the demographics are a little older. It's people that are more established financially as well and can afford more expensive product. And that will vary 100% from one dealership to another. And we never go in making an assumption that, again, I'm in Austin, so Westlake, I guess, or Tarrytown would be the most affluent areas in the city. We're not going to say, oh, well, we need to spend all of our money there. We're going to say, where have you sold the most units, both new and used? And we'll tend to segment by like revenue amount because we want to see like how much money have you made from all these different zip codes. And we're going to really spend as much as we can around the zip codes and parts of town that have the highest ROI and return on ad spend. And we want to make sure that we're protecting those areas with sufficient amount of investment. And there are always in every market places where you should logically be selling more, but you're not because a competitor has done a better job of marketing in that area. Or, and then those areas are kind of more like conquest areas. And you want to kind of evaluate, how can I grow my business in that area while you're maintaining your conversion, hot zones in your own backyard.
Love that. Let's talk about scheduling. When I think most people don't really know, and you've been somebody that I've always looked to for guidance around scheduling from the perspective of should you be running ads 24/7? Should you be like, there is a lot of money wasted on clicks that happen just because you didn't have an ad schedule set.
Yeah.
So when are Harley ads most effective? What kind of ad schedule or filters should be out there for dealers to be, trying to make sure that they're getting low traffic or low intent traffic out of the
Yeah.
results?
So that's a tough one because if someone is looking for a 2024 Harley Davidson lowrider in the middle of the night, are they a bad user? No, there's someone that is potentially interested in buying a motorcycle, or potentially they're drunk and they're interested in buying a motorcycle, or they're having a conversation with their friend. It's valuable to have that impression for sure. But the reality of the situation is 85% of all of your leads that you acquire are going to come from your phone. And you're not answering your phone in the middle of the night. And lead quality during the middle of the night is not great. And then the other factor is what is your average budget? And if your budget is less than $15,000 in a mid to large market, then you don't have enough money to spend that money during that time. You want to make sure that you're concentrating your spend not just around the top zip codes and areas and keyword categories, but also around the top timeframes as well. And there is a right way to do 24/7 spending. We generally don't advocate it because most of our clients don't have the budget available to do that effectively. So typically what we recommend is if you want to show ads in the middle of the night, then we would do a negative 50% bid adjustment. So you're not paying a very high CPC. There's that traffic value, probably less conversion value, but you're spending less per click. So you want to be strategic about how you do it. But typically we recommend an ad schedule that goes from like 6 to 11 probably. And really your conversion kind of hot zones are going to typically be in the middle of the day from around noon to like 3:30, 4 p.m. That's typically when a lot of the phone calls will come in. So you want to make sure that you're not spending too much in a not optimal time frame, like 2 a.m. in the morning, to the point where you have a diluted budget and you don't have enough budget in the middle of the day to get those calls. Because a lot of those people are going to call you straight from that ad, from the call extension. And if you're not showing up and someone else is, then you can be poached. So understanding where your customer is really important, understanding who they are, and making sure that you understand when your phone rings the most allows you to concentrate your budget in a more strategic way than if you were just spreading it evenly across a 24/7 ad schedule. We have never seen, not once, and this even includes both motorcycle and luxury car dealership marketing in Las Vegas. We've done a lot of PPC in Vegas, and a lot of these dealerships have a 24/7 hotline. Someone just won a really big hand at blackjack or something, and they just want to go buy a Ferrari right now. Lead quality is so much better during the day than it is at night, even in that very extreme circumstance. So if you're not in Las Vegas and you're in Dallas, you're in Phoenix, you're in, Tucson or anywhere, chances are your budget is going to be better utilized during the day than it is at night at all. So that's kind of our point of view on ad schedule. You want to be thoughtful about your budget. You don't want to overextend yourself, and just understand that whatever your daily budget is, let's say you have a $5,000 budget, divide that by 30 and then divide that by 24 hours. And that's going to be how much time you have available. And obviously you're going to have a much better budget concentration if you're spending over 11 hours or so versus a full 24 ad schedule.
Interesting. I'm moving you along rapidly in this episode, Mike. I want your thoughts on demographics relative to the Harley buyer. This is very important. So talk to us about income level and demographic bid adjustments. Is there, thoughts around even the data around that? This is important to the Harley buyer, right?
For almost all of the Harley accounts that I looked at, if you segment in your data, go all time and look at conversions and age, conversions and income level, you're going to see something kind of interesting where the vast majority of your buyers, at least from an income level standpoint, are going to be in the top 30% and then the bottom percent. The middle is kind of scooped out. What I would say would be a good practice would be to do a positive bid adjustment on the top level of income earners, because that's going to get you more people buying a more expensive product, which obviously dealerships really like. They'll probably be doing more add-ons, doing handlebar customizations and all these other customizations that are worth thousands, many thousands of dollars, and sometimes can be far more profitable than selling the bike itself. So that's a very important factor. And then there's the other one, which is age. And then there's gender. And this is kind of an interesting one because this doesn't apply to Honda Power Sports. This doesn't apply to KTM, but most Harley buyers are older men. Big shocker. But they tend to be from age 30 plus. And does that mean I want to exclude an 18-year-old buyer? No, it doesn't mean that, but it means that I'm going to prioritize the age brackets that are converting the best. And again, this will change from market to market. So you have to look at the data. Usually you want to let an account run for a while without making these prejudgments about who is going to buy from you. But in time, you are going to want to see where the conversions are coming in the most, not just the clicks, because anyone can click, but not everyone's going to convert. You're going to want to align your expenditure with the demographics that are converting at a higher rate.
That's all really helpful. I've got a couple more things I want to ask you before we wrap this one up. And this next one is about something that people probably think they know about, but they don't know enough about. And that is remarketing. Mm-hmm. How do remarketing strategies differ between, I'll just give you a Harley example, someone who's browsed like a touring model versus a Sportster?
In terms of the more kind of, and this is not really just a power sports or Harley factor, but typically the higher the price point on the item, the more touch points are required to get that person to actually convert. So in car dealers, I think in car dealerships, you on average are going to shop 6 or so different car dealers of the same OEM. My wife is looking at BMW right now, and she's talking to 5 different BMW dealers and pitting them against each other. And that's awesome. And people do the same with Harley, and they will be willing to travel quite far to buy a unit if they really feel like they're getting a good experience. And then obviously a long trip on a motorcycle is a good time. So it's not the same barrier that most dealerships have with people shopping at a distance. So with a more expensive unit, you're going to want to do remarketing for both, but it's going to be more expensive at the higher tiered model because there's just more consideration involved when more dollars are spent. So that's an important thing. Both are important. You definitely want to make sure that you are leveraging both banner and video remarketing for your dealership. If someone comes to the website and spends more than, say, your website average time, or let's say your average time on site for every user is like a minute, you want to make sure that you are spending some remarketing dollars against everyone that's been there for 45 seconds or more. You want to identify the top pages, the top SRP pages, the top VDB categories that users are viewing. And then you want to make sure that you're allocating some remarketing investment to them strategically. Most kind of like a good, better, best strategy for remarketing is we have a generic, we're a Harley Davidson dealer, remarketing video and banner campaign for everyone that comes to the site above a certain time frame. But the better version of that is we have creative specific to our different lines of products. The best category is these 6 cruiser and touring models are our top sellers. And we always are creating a new piece of creative, whether it's video on a quarterly basis. It's hard to do that on a monthly basis, or static creative on a monthly basis. That's easier to do for that particular type of audience. So if someone is looking for a lowrider S and you're hitting them with a come to Michael Shaug Harley Davidson ad, that's great. But what's better is if you're hitting them with a video ad of the new lowrider S or the lowrider series, and you're putting them on that bike and you're giving them kind of that aspirational vision of riding the motorcycle through the Texas Hill Country or wherever your customers live. But you really want to put people on the bike that they're looking for as much as you can with remarketing. And video remarketing, I would say, is definitely more valuable. That would be best, but it's hard to get a lot of video creative. So you need to lean on your creative team or the OEM. The OEMs put out a lot of great videos that can be utilized for remarketing video segments. 15, 30-second segments are probably enough. 15 is probably good enough if you want to keep it really simple. But yeah, you definitely having remarketing is better than none, but you want to make sure that you're optimizing your creative at least on a quarterly basis, and that you're not letting your videos and your banner ads get a little too stale out there.
Last question. You're kind of leading me right to it, kind of a little bit on video. YouTube, but pre-roll and custom intent audiences. How do these work together in a Harley campaign?
So pre-roll is just the ad unit itself. It's buying the YouTube video that you have 15 seconds before you skip it. Some are skippable, non-skippable. There are different types that you can buy, or you can buy all of them. But custom intent audiences are typically keyword lists. So what you can do with custom intent audiences is you can take all your different keyword audiences, and you want to make sure that they're relevant to the video that you're playing. So if you have a Sportster video, you want to make sure that you're not running a bunch of Grand American Touring keywords in that list. You want to make sure that it's very relevant to Sportster. But you can use custom intent to go a lot broader. You can use custom intent audiences against generic motorcycle dealer searches. You can use it against your competitors' names, and they will never know about it. So there's a lot of things that you can do to leverage keyword lists or custom intent audiences against specific audiences. And there are other audience categories as well. For instance, here in Austin, we have a number of big motorcycle events. Obviously there are huge ones like Sturgis, huge ones like Daytona. So you can actually look at these event websites and create audiences of those websites and target people that have been to those websites specifically. So if you are a motorcycle dealership in Florida, there are going to be probably 100 different websites where people go and register for rides or events or concerts. And you can just basically say, hey, I want to add these people to my intent audience and target them with video or banner creative, or even add those people to keyword targeting as well to kind of enhance that targeting. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do with that don't even involve keywords, especially around Harley, because there are so many events. It's such a strong community of buyers, and they have so many different rides and events that people can sign up for. And those people are potential customers that you can get in front of and you can sell product or service to.
I love it. Listen, for the audience, this is kind of like the Kickstart version of Harley PPC 101. Just right to the point on all of this. But hey, let's step on that break and park the episode. Another fantastic episode of the POMCAST. Always a big thanks to Mike Shaug for joining us, taking some of his time out to share the legit wisdom that comes right out of his brain. If you are a power sports dealer, if you're a Harley Davidson dealer, well, you should absolutely be talking to Premier Online Marketing. If you're trying to navigate this fast-changing world of digital marketing and search, you can spend a lot of time chasing trends, but you also need to realize that you need a strategic partner that knows the depths and the details of your business. And Mike and his team at Premier Online Marketing absolutely know that, and that's what they do for their clients. It's easy to follow Mike Shaug on LinkedIn. Just look him up over there. You can also find Premier Online Marketing on LinkedIn. I highly recommend following both. Depending on where you're checking out this content, please like it, share it, subscribe, virtual high five. If you've got ideas of things that you would like covered on the POMCAST, well, throw those at us in some comment section as well. If you want to know just more in general about Premier Online Marketing, well, it's easy to find out by going to premieronlinemarketing.com. Before you know it, we will be right back here with another episode of the POMCAST. Thanks for tuning in.